church can be is finally revealed. Church is the time we take, tending to those in pain. Church is joined in holy worship when the bound are free again. Church is the pain at ease. Church is the peace they find in the welcome of the stranger, in the clothing of the naked. All the best that church can be is burning in our lives. Church is the choice we make, year into joyous year, as we seek to love and trust, surrendering our hate and fear. Church is the world restored. Church is the feast begun in the tending of our neighbors, in the mending of our planet. All the best that church can be is shining like the sun.
Good morning again. So, this is my welcome for you today. Believers and skeptics and everyone in between, you are welcome. Gay and straight and everyone in between, you are welcome. Black, white, young, old, and everyone in between, you are welcome. People from far and people from near. And friends we haven't met yet, you are welcome. Those who plan on staying and those who are just passing through, you are welcome. All are welcome here as we struggle to live from a place of loving kindness to build a beloved community. All are welcome here to the Universalist Unitarian Church of Riverside. Our opening hymn this morning is number 347, Gather the Spirit, from the Gray Hymnal. Feel free to sing as the Spirit moves you. Please stand in body or spirit and join us in singing hymn 347, Gather the Spirit, and it will be projected behind me.
Spirit, harvest the power. Our separate fires will kindle one flame. Witness the mystery of this hour. Our trials in this life appear all the same. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then.
So I want to thank you for joining us here this morning in person, and thank you for joining us remotely by Zoom, where we will continue live streaming and posting these services on our YouTube channel for our virtual attendees. My name is Tinka Friend, and I will be conducting all of this morning's service. It is a reprisal of a service that I created and gave way back on March 9th, 2014. It was the last sermon and service that I conducted before my husband Nick and I set off traveling in our retirement, which lasted about 6 years until COVID brought us back home. I have edited the service slightly, but I have kept it in its original format, which is different from what we currently do now, just so you know. But hopefully you'll go with my flow. So I will also be your worship leader for this service. When I gave it originally, Nyala Terrell Mason was the worship associate for that morning. Sadly, she is no longer attending here. When I came back after 6 years, she wasn't, so I don't know if she moved or what. I delivered the service that Sunday because our minister at the time, Reverend Angela Henderson, was in North Carolina with many other ministries of all faiths participating in the massively moral march, which was to bring focus to the activities in some states which were undermining voting rights and civil liberties. Does that sound like anything's changed since 2009? Or 13, sorry. So the theme from the pulpit during the month of February then had been love. I'm reprising the service and the sermon, like I said, from that Sunday 11 years ago, because I think it is still relevant today. We need a foundation of love in this church. So we welcome you to join us this morning with an open mind and an open heart, but with muted electronic devices, please. We invite you to leave your worries and your defenses at the door and trust that what happens in worship is inspiring and powerful. Together we affirm that this day, our being here together can make each of us braver, more compassionate, and wiser as we begin a new day and a new week. Now, I invite you to sit back, let go of the fear and frustration that I know many of us have been carrying around with us this week, if you had listened to any of the news. And let's take a slow, deep breath as we move into the worship hour. We have 2 lightings of sacred flames. The first is a remembrance candle for the indigenous peoples who continue to cry out for justice and self-determination. We remember that underneath us, where we are seated and where our feet are touching, is the unceded land of several indigenous peoples, the Cahuilla, the Luceño, and the Cupeño. We light this sacred flame in their remembrance and in recognition of their ongoing struggle for freedom and dignity. Okay, our second sacred flame is our own chalice, the symbol of our faith. We are blessed in this space and opportunity to strive to live out our common principles, which are listed there on the wall, to bring justice, equity, and compassion into our daily lives, to resist all that threatens the earth and her people, and to be a part of a world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. Let these thoughts carry us forth as we journey and worship together. Today's chalice lighting words are, love is the doctrine of this church. I want you to listen because it's not exactly what we have read in the past. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve human need, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with God, and to live in harmony with all the living creatures and plants of the earth. This do we affirm.
Got a sign that up for you right now. A little public service announcement. 400 ICE agents went to Kansas. They went to a Mexican market where they thought that they were going to gain a great number of arrests and some cheap notoriety, because surely their stupid behavior has to pay off sometime. 400 agents went. You want to know how many people were arrested? Well, they broke into single figures. One man who was later released by the probably within a couple of hours. As dark and as rough as times look, there's still hope.
So I was going through and I found this picture. I think this is from 2009, 2010. And this was one of our services. And the woman who is in, I guess it'd be the second row, in a blue sweatshirt with short, light hair and glasses, is Fern Thompson. And we are sad to announce that longtime UUCR member and beloved friend Fern Thompson passed away at her home on Sunday, February 16th. Fern was 96 years old, and she had been a member of UUCR, in fact, the longest of anyone that had still been alive. She joined this church in the 1940s. She was a longtime member of the UU Women's Federation as well. She loved nature and gardening and cats. So please join me for a moment of loving silence as we light our window of life to honor the life of Fern Thompson. So a time for all ages. Back in the day, when I gave this sermon first, we had a lot of children in our congregation, and we had a time every service where we would tell a story, read a story that was applicable, not only just to children, had a message for them, but also for adults. So this is our time for all ages. And this reading is to emphasize how we humans once needed each other and then started drifting away from helping each other. It's been adapted from a poem by David Baumbach called Back Scratcher. It is a twist on why we left the Garden of Eden. The fall from grace. The great disruption from primordial order, the original sin, had nothing to do with eating apples or talking to snakes. The instrument of our fall was a wooden back scratcher. That piece of wood bent at the end so that one could reach that unreachable spot, there between the shoulder blades, down just a little bit lower. Up just a little bit. There where the most persistent itch always takes up residency. Before the back scratcher, before that simple infernal device, we, like our primate kin, depended on others to do that for us, to do that which we could not do for ourselves. I'm sure you've heard it. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Before the back scratcher, before that simple infernal tool, we needed each other to scratch the unreachable itch. The wooden back scratcher dissolved the bonds of reciprocity, unloosed the ties of community, and tempted us to believe in our own God-like self-sufficiency. And God walked into the cool of the garden and saw a primate standing alone. "What have you done?" God asked, "that you are standing alone and not with the others?" "I have found a back scratcher," said the beast, "and now I need no one." "Poor beast," said God, "because now you must leave this garden. In Eden, no one stands alone. Each depends upon and helps the others." And thus we began our wandering, our pacing up and down the earth, scratching our own itches, pretending self-sufficiency, and trying to ignore the persistent sense of loss, the vague yearning for primordial order, a world where you scratched my back and I scratched yours. A wooden back scratcher is a poor substitute for the gentle touch of a living hand. A mission statement is an important document for a church. It provides a foundation upon which current and future actions rest. You are welcome to read with me the mission statement of our church. Our mission is to foster a diverse religious community that celebrates life, affirms the individual, encourages spiritual growth and open thought, and works to advance social justice and environmental sustainability. Each Sunday, we take a collection to help our greater community. And a tote bag is about to be passed around to collect food and hygiene items for our local community. We look through our pantries and cupboards to see what non-perishable things, just a second, wait a second, Grace. We look through our pantries and cupboards to see what non-perishable items packaged in cans, bags, and boxes that we have that we can give to someone else in our wider community. Now, we do this not because we believe that we alone can solve the problem of hunger, but as a symbol of our commitment to making a difference right here at home in our own community, to remind us that we all need each other. So Grace, if you will come forward to get a bag and go around to collect our food gifts. And then when you finish, if you will bring them up to me, I have a blessing I want to say on the food. Okay, thank you. Thank you for the bounty this morning. For all the hands that brought this food and all the hands that collected it and all the hands that prepared it, processed it, packaged it, we are honored and grateful. And thank you for your kind and loving heart and for this kind and loving act. Amen. So a welcome to all of our visitors today, and welcome back to our old friends. We would love to meet you during our coffee hour after the service, which we gather in this, what we call our parish hall, for snacks and coffee. So please join us. If you're comfortable doing so, please give us a wave. If you are new, this is your first or second or third time. Thank you. Welcome. So that we can hopefully recognize you later. And hopefully you'll return and maybe we'll recognize you. And those on Zoom, you can use the Zoom wave gesture or just wave at your camera. We would love to chat with you out in the parish hall, where you will also find a visitor's book. So those of you who are new and you have not signed our visitors, I say our visitor's book, but really it's a tablet, right? An electronic tablet. Please leave your name before you leave so that we know you were here, and leave your contact information if you want updates on church events. And there will also be a short discussion after the service to share your reflections with us, so stick around for that if you would like. For those online, the best way to get added to the mailing list is to email the church office at admin@uuchurchofriverside.org. And the next slide. Oh, no, sorry. I was ahead of myself. Go back. Thank you. So our time together is brief, but filled with joy. And in that spirit, I invite you to turn around to those around you, or kind of squeeze a little bit to somebody, so you can greet them, welcome them, and share the joy. Thank you. That was wonderful to see. I hope it was equally good to experience. Now we have a prayer, a metta prayer, that we will participate together. A metta prayer is often used by Buddhists to cultivate loving kindness in the heart, the mind, and the spirit. It eases the way for us to see all people in solidarity, connected as one, instead of as different, separate groups. You will notice a loving intention in this prayer. Notice also that the focus is egocentric at the beginning, with I and me. But gradually the focus broadens until finally all people are included. Metta is an attitude of recognizing that all sentient beings, that is, all beings that are capable of feeling, can feel good or feel bad, and that all, given the choice, would choose the former over the latter. Metta is a recognition of the most basic solidarity connection that we have with each other. This sharing of a common aspiration to find fulfillment and to escape suffering. Metta is empathy. It is the willingness to see the world from another's point of view, to walk a mile in another person's shoes. Metta is the desire that all sentient beings be well, or at least the ones we are currently thinking about or in contact with. It is wishing others well. Metta is friendliness, consideration, kindness, generosity, and love. Metta is an attitude rather than a feeling. It's an attitude of friendliness, of loving kindness. It is the basis for compassion. When our metta meets another's suffering, then our metta transforms into compassion, or as we learned last week from Grace, agape, which is a form of love. Metta is the basis for shared joy. Metta is the most basic expression of love. So if you wish to read it with me, please read slowly and mindfully, staying with me as one. Or you may also just listen thoughtfully and be in the moment. May I be free from fear. May I be free from compulsion. May I be blessed with love. May I be blessed with peace. May my family and friends be free from fear. May they be free from compulsion. May they be blessed with love. May they be blessed with peace. May my adversaries and those I dislike be free from fear. May they be free from compulsion. May they be blessed with love, and may they be blessed with peace. May all who live be filled with lasting joy. May deception end and delusions cease. May no one despise another, nor wish them ill. May love grow boundless, and may hatred end with the release of fear. Now let us pause for a moment of silence while we think of the wisdom in these words, and I'll bring you back with the gong. I guess I should have said a chime rather than a gong. Now, the basis of a metta prayer is to recognize that we and our friends are one, that we and the stranger are one, and that we and our enemies are one. That is not unique to the Buddhist philosophy or practice. Course in Miracles does the same thing. There are many throughout the world where that is the focus. And with that, it is in that frame of heart, rather than a frame of mind, that I invite you to rise and sing together number 318, We Will Be One, and the words are projected.
We would be one. 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 We
us on our way, as one we pledge ourselves to greater service, with love and justice, strive to make us free.
Okay, we looked at the mission earlier, or the mission statement for our church. I will read it. To foster a diverse religious community that celebrates life, affirms the individual, encourages spiritual growth and open thought, and works to advance social justice and environmental sustainability. I know this because I was here when it was formed. I was here in this church almost 30 years ago when we wrote that mission statement. We met in small groups in members' homes with our new minister at the time, Reverend Cynthia Kane. There are not many of us in this room today who remember her. UUCR had just gone through about 15 to 17 years before she arrived without a called minister, lay-led as it is now. And at that time, with this new minister, we needed to decide what we valued spiritually, what would bring us together and help us to go forward. What did we value? I was a new member at this church at the time, the first church I ever officially joined. I was in my 40s, and I remember vividly how we arrived at this statement. The church members and the friends formed into 4 to 5 groups of about 8 to 10 people, and we met in various members' homes. My group sat around in Dave Danowski's living room eating snacks and brainstorming words that would represent the spiritual values we wanted to make our mission. The first one I offered up was love. I mean, how could we have a church, a spiritual home, a beloved community without love? Well, there was no enthusiasm among the other members of the church that were in my group for that word. Not like the enthusiasm for other words such as freedom, intellect, individual, justice, searching. So we put all the words that people in the brainstorming session that all the people said were put onto a large sheet of paper, and then one at a time, each person would circle the most meaningful words for them. So we had 3 rounds. We were given a blue pen, and we went around and we circled the 3 words that spoke the most to us. Then after that, we were given a green pen, and we ran around and circled 2 words that were the most meaningful. And finally, with a red pen, you could only choose 1 word. Well, my excitement and enthusiasm for this activity lessened with each go-around, as I noticed that no one else but Nick and I circled the word love. The words with the most red circles were then used to create a sentence. The word love on that chart had only 1 red circle, mine. Oh, wait, I protested. How could we have a church, a spiritual home, a beloved community without love? It must be in there. I was informed that love is what Christian churches say they are all about, and they're not doing very well at it at that. Our church Unitarian churches are about discovering yourself, retaining your individuality, and promoting social justice. We don't want to be like those other churches. I was told rather sternly that I was new, and I didn't really understand yet how Unitarian churches work. The pushback from them towards having love in a mission statement was too great, and I didn't yet have the strength of courage to argue much for it. They said love is too ethereal and not measurable, and really didn't fit with what Unitarianism was all about. Well, sure enough, at the end of several months, when all the groups were finished, and those words were pretty much all about what they valued, we did the same process, but we did it here in our sanctuary in a town hall meeting. And we used those 4 or 5 different sample sentences from those groups and we used that had been using the words that had been circled in red. And except for the environmental sustainability part that got added at the end of that mission statement, which came about 5 to 7 years later as a result of our Green Sanctuary group, what we read is the same mission statement that we created back in the late 1990s. I will tell you, there was one group, I was hoping somebody would have love in their sentence. There was one group that actually did have a draft mission statement that contained the word love, but it was quickly dropped. As I learned more about the history of Unitarian and Universalism, I realized that love was central to universalism, starting with their belief in a loving God and their desire to be loving brothers and sisters to all people. And I know that is why I feel more universalist than Unitarian. And for those of you who are new, this is a Universalist Unitarian church. It was the first Universalist church built west of the Rocky Mountains. And that was in 1881 was when the congregation was formed. And they brought love to Riverside. You might wonder, why did I stay here at UUCR if I felt so strongly about my mantra? How could we have a church, a spiritual home, a beloved community without love? I stayed because at that time we used to read in unison an affirmation every Sunday in which love was prominent. It was printed right in the order of service. You see, back in the day, we used to get a paper on our way into the sanctuary, which listed the readings, the prayers, the order that things were going to happen, as well as our principles and announcements. That was before we used slides and a projector. We also used to sing a doxology every Sunday. And most of the doxologies contained, if not the word love, at least the idea of love. So every Sunday I would feel love at least twice during a service. And we would also pass joy around to those sitting near you, as we did earlier. And a few years later, we added standing and holding hands during the benediction. The following is an affirmation based on what we read every Sunday. I suspect that the living creatures and plants of the earth phrase probably was added about the time we amended our mission in a similar way, after the 7th principle was added. The affirmation I read during our chalice lighting came from that universalist tradition. It has been changed over the decades, and the references to God or the divine have been removed. But love has remained. We often read this along with our mission statement during some of our services now. So, if you go to the next slide, would you read that affirmation with me? Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace to seek knowledge in freedom, and to live in harmony with all the living creatures and plants of the earth. This do we affirm. This has always spoken to me in a deeper, more sacred way than our mission statement. Love is not only in it, it is the first word. It cannot be hidden, it cannot be ignored, and it cannot be pushed aside. This service is titled Love's Charge, and let me explain why I titled it that and why it is called a charge. So, in the Unitarian Universalist tradition, when a church calls and hires a permanent minister, after a probationary period has passed, there is an installation. So that minister is officially installed into the church with the congregation. It is a big event and a huge celebration. It takes like about a month to do all that cleaning and getting everything ready like you're having a big party at your house. It is when the minister and the congregation covenant with each other. The ministers of other faiths and other UU ministers as well. Well, first let me say it's sort of like a wedding, because that's what we do in a wedding, right? We covenant with each other. We say vows. We make these promises of what we're attempting to do and what we hope we can fulfill. So ministers of other faiths, along with UU ministers of other UU churches, are invited to speak words of wisdom, of encouragement, and of caution to both the new minister and the members of the congregation. And there is a charge given to the minister and a separate charge given to the congregation. It is an important charge. We are charged on how to act and what to focus on with this new minister so that both the minister and the church members may grow together along deeper spiritual paths. The charge is usually given by another experienced minister, and love is usually somewhere in that charge. The last minister to give the charge to our congregation here in our sanctuary was Reverend Susan Manker Seal, who as a child was part of the last family to live in the parsonage next door, what we now call the annex. Her father, Reverend Ray Manker, was the minister here when the Unitarians and the Universalist denominations merged in the early 1960s. Love is important. How can we forgive ourselves and others without love? Even the social and environmental justice that we are so passionate about needs love. Instead of angry opposition to politicians or legislation, we need to come from an open, loving heart. Love guides action. Love is special. The more you give it away, the greater amount comes back to you or is remaining with you. When you keep love locked away only for special occasions or for special people, it shrinks and withers away. Love is necessary. If a church doesn't want to shrink and wither away, it must cultivate love. If a church wants to keep its members, it must show love. If a church wants to grow, it must expand love. Our Unitarian Universalist denominations finally realized how important love is to have at a church, at a spiritual home, and to developing a beloved community. Just, what was it, Adam, 1 or 2 years ago, that representatives from UU churches met together at a big convention called a General Assembly to decide to create a group of values to go along with our principles. a group of values that UU churches should possess or at least strive towards. And I want to tell you, in the center of that was love, the foundation upon which all the other values rest. You can go ahead. So they're values of interdependence, equity, transformation, pluralism, generosity, and justice. And in the center, every graphic depiction that have been created, and different churches have created different graphics to show this, they all have love at the center. I am giving all of us a charge today. I charge us to look at love, find it in our hearts, in our homes, in our community, and yes, in our church. Is it important to us? Do we want to make it grow? Do we want to create a beloved community? Our mission statement is almost 30 years old. We do need to revisit it. Will love finally be important enough to be included? I hope it is. Let us see. It is a spiritual practice in many world religions to end the day with contemplative questions. So we will end this sacred time with 3 questions for ourselves. We will have about 30 seconds to contemplate each question. And I will hit the chime so we know when to go to the next question. So, our first question is, what have I received today? So please contemplate and think about that. Answer that for yourself. What have I received today? The next question, what have I given today? And the last question is, what can I do to expand love today? In just a moment, we will collect the monetary offerings. Earlier, we collected the food offerings, and now the monetary offerings to help us meet our financial obligations in carrying out the ministries that we do here at UUCR. But you know, we don't just share in stewardship on Sunday mornings. We do it every time we come together, whether it's in committee meetings, serving on the board of trustees, writing an article for the newsletter, donating to our yard sales, helping pick up trash around our porch, greeting our visitors, participating in connection circles, game night, or book discussions, providing a luncheon, running the sound system, playing our music, The list is endless, and I'm going to stop because I know I'll leave some activities or people out. Unfortunately, you cannot be part of this spiritual opportunity of sharing and stewardship if you don't know about it. And that is why our weekly Sunday announcements are so important. And I mean spiritually important. They are not just housekeeping items. They can be sacred opportunities for us to look outside of ourselves for the benefit of our spiritual community as well as ourselves. I myself have grown spiritually as a result of many activities that I discovered from our announcements, and I urge you to listen with just such an open heart. So, our announcements. Join us next week after the service for our first Sunday luncheon. Next week, we will have green foods to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. Contributions, donations for the food are welcome, and all proceeds will go to the church fund. Game night is held on the second and fourth Thursday at 6 p.m. in the parish hall. There are many games to choose from, or you could bring some of your favorite from home. The last game night, 2 weeks ago, it was in the middle of a rainstorm, so our group that showed up here was kind of small, but we had a really good time. I brought some Girl Scout cookies, and we munched while we played. The next game night will be Tuesday, February 27th, so come and join in the fun. What did I say? Tuesday, sorry, Thursday. Thursday, February 27th. Come and join us. Many of us are saddened and confused about the ongoing conflict in the Middle East. As some of you may be aware, we have been holding a monthly peace discussion or peace panel after our first Sunday luncheons. Next month, on March 2nd, at 12:30, which would be after the luncheon, the Social and Environmental Justice Committee will be hosting a discussion circle called Congregational Conversations on Israel and Palestine. And it's based on a program developed by the Unitarian Universalist Association and accessible to all UU churches. This, and I want to stress this will be a safe and non-judgmental space to respectfully engage with one another on this very difficult topic, and a topic in which can be very emotional. It will not be a space for debate. This is not a space for our head. This is a space for our heart. But rather to acknowledge and share and listen deeply to how we are personally experiencing this conflict. This is another one of those special spiritual opportunities for growth and understanding that I spoke about, that we come to church in order to experience. We hope you will join us. You do not have to be a member. Any of our activities are open to everybody. So this concludes today's announcements. Okay, so the Congregational Church across the street has, and I announced that last week, that it is sort of de-stressing from all of the political and everything that's going on. And so we were invited to participate with the Congregational Church. And so 2 members from our church were there, and they're letting us know that that will continue every Monday. Is that correct? What time again? 5:30 across the street. And again, you don't have to be a member. You can just go over there. Yes, you have to go around through the back. They also have like a little house, parsonage, behind the back. If you go back there and find the door that opens up, you can get into. So, at this time, we will take up an offering in support of the work of this historical church and our beloved community. This can be accomplished in several ways. In addition to the weekly collection, you may send your checks to the church address, which is shown here. You may contribute by PayPal using the QR code, which is also shown, as well as going to the church website, and this is listed here as well as on the church website and also in the newsletter. Stater Brothers Market gives our church a rebate on Stater's grocery cards, which we will have in church each Sunday. You get the full value, and the church also receives a percentage for free. Please see Dinah Rowe, who is not here, Robert Braun. I think he was in the kitchen. I thought I saw him earlier in the kitchen. Or Kate, can they see you? Or no? To purchase Stater cards. Okay. So, Kate, also, if you're interested in purchasing the gift cards. So, for instance, I buy a gift card for Stater Brothers, because I have one right next to me. I buy a $100 gift card. I get the full $100 value when I go to the store, but a percentage, 3 to 5%, something like that, of that $100 comes back to the church. So I urge you, if you shop at Stater Brothers, to please help the church in that way. Now, before we pass around the collection basket, I would like our visitors, it's the next slide. There we go. I'd like to let our visitors know something. Your gift to us this morning is the courage that it took to open the door, to walk in, sit down, and be present here with us this morning. And we thank you for coming. And we want you to know that your presence here today is gift enough. So if you wish, you can just let the offering basket pass you by. And if you have felt a connection to what you heard or saw here this morning, and you decide to return, you may contribute then. Today is 50-50 Sunday, which is held on the fourth Sunday of the month. It is an opportunity for us all to practice an act of greater generosity than we usually do. An act of love for this church. If you wish to donate to the 50-50 program, half of each designated donation goes into the badly needed maintenance fund, and the other half goes to our general operating fund. There are so many projects. As I said, this building, the congregation was here in 1881. This building was built in 1891 and completed in 1892. So it is an old historical church, and there's a lot of badly needed maintenance items, projects. So there's many projects that need help. I'm just going to mention two, and that is repairs to the handicap ramp so that the unstable among us don't trip in the uneven parts coming and going from church. There's repairs needed to the roof. As I told you when we were here that Thursday 2 weeks ago for game night, and it was raining, pouring outside, water was pouring in 2 different places, over by the bathroom and down the walls in the parish hall. There is a long list of necessary repairs, and those are just 2 that need immediate attention. So this, remember, is in addition to your pledge to the church, so please be as generous as you can. Be sure to write, so if you're writing a check, write 50-50 on the memo, and then that amount of that check will be split in half. If you're putting cash, if you see in front of you in the pews, there are these little sort of yellow envelopes, little tiny ones. If there are some that already say 50-50 on them, please use that if you're going to be donating for the 50-50 amount. If they are blank and you want to donate for 50-50, then write 50-50 on the front of that little envelope. If you don't, then the entire amount that is in that little envelope will go to our operating fund, and none of it will go to help the maintenance fund. So please donate as the Spirit moves you by whatever method is best for you. And I thank you for your generosity. To those who give of their time and their talent, I thank you for your generous care and attention. To all of you who have joined us here today, I thank you for the gift of your presence. And will our ushers now please come forward to receive the collection? At this time, we gratefully accept these offerings, which are needed to do the sacred work of this church. Again, I want to thank you for your presence here this morning, for your generosity, and for the love that is underneath and supports that generosity. Our next hymn is number 110 from the Teal hymnal, We Give Thanks, but it's also going to be projected up here, so you won't necessarily have to use the hymnal. Feel free to sing as the Spirit moves you. Please stand in body or spirit and join us in singing hymn 110, We Give Thanks.
Precious day, forever clear, past far away, for this love we share, with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day.
Thank you. And I'm going to ask you to please stay standing. Or if you sat down, would you stand back up? If you can, stay standing if you can. And I would like to do something a little different as we hold the hand of another person. If this is uncomfortable for you, you do not have to do it. But I would like for people to find the people that are close to you. Slowly and mindfully, will you take the hand of your neighbor, look them in the eye, and say these words: I put my hand in your hand because I care. Can you go on to the next slide? Are they there? Okay, never mind. You may sit down. I got ahead of myself. There was one more hymn. I thought that was the last. We have a closing hymn. Okay, our closing hymn is Love Will Guide Us. It's from the Gray Hymnal. Feel free to sing as the Spirit moves you. You can still hold the hand of the person next to you if you want. Please stand in body or spirit and join us in singing hymn number 131, Love Will Guide Us. The words are projected, and now, please, after that, please remain standing after the song if you are able. Thank you.
Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hot night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hot night.
Be seated. Okay, here we are. Please stay standing if you can, but I'd like to do something a little different as we hold each other's hands. Slowly and mindfully, will you take the hand of your neighbor as you look them in the eye and say these words: I put my hand in your hand because I care. And may we each feel that we are one and not separate. At the beginning of our time together, we lit our chalice with a universalist affirmation and covenant, and then we read a later version of the affirmation in unison. Now let's join together and reaffirm as we end this sacred time. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, and to live in harmony with all the living creatures and plants of the earth. This do we affirm. You may be seated. I just have a few more words. A little prayer that I wrote. May our love spread warmth and light and hope. May it warm hearts grown cold with indifference. May love light dark places with justice, rekindle hope in despair. Love is powerful. May this church offer fuel for your fire of love. May the oil of loving kindness flow from us to others. May the hands of service bring shelter. May no winds of hate extinguish love's brightness. May love's light be warm and eternal. And may we be the keepers of love's flame. Now go in love and peace. Amen. We do have one video, one song.
Church where love lives is a safe place for all, where we gather in wonder to remember God's call, to embody God's of kindness and care. With each song that we offer, with each protest and prayer, on this sacred foundation of faith and of trust, we are building a world that is gentle and just. We rejoice and repent, offer praise and forgive, and we welcome all people to the church where love lives. The church where love lives draws the stranger inside, making neighbors strangers, not a neighbor denied. To this living on earth and God's will has been done. To the whole of creation is restored to its home. On this sacred foundation of faith and of trust, we are building a world that is gentle and just. We rejoice and repent, offer praise and forgive, and we welcome all people to the church where love lives. Faith and trust, we are building a world that is gentle and just. We rejoice and repent, offer praise and forgive, and we welcome all people to the church where love lives. Oh, we welcome all people to the church where love lives.
I thank you all for showing up for this service today. We have 10 to 15 minutes for those who wish to share their thoughts and observations on today's topic of putting love at the center of our church. You can share what came in your mind, how you felt. Maybe you share on those things that we kind of meditated on, those questions, maybe what came up for you there. But for the rest of you that cannot stay, you are now welcome to adjourn into the parish hall. If you have not signed or given us your information, please be sure to do that out there. So, would anyone like to come up and share any thoughts? And also online, is there anyone who would like to share anything with us?
I'm a rock and roller, and I just want to say there's a Diana Ross song called Love in the First Degree. Before you break my heart, think it over. See, this is Black History Month, and I had some things to say about Black history. And next week I want to sing some songs by Prince and Michael Jackson. And if you don't like me, just tell me. And all you have to do is not give me a ride home or tell Nikki's my AA sponsor. And I want to say, you won't see anybody praising charismatically or lifting their hands or speaking in tongues here. But it's it's in the Bible where they began to speak in unknown languages. I've read the New Testament a lot, and I've read the Greg Glory's place that he's worked. I think he's a credible source of information. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Okay, anyone else have any words on love being at the center of our church or at the center of your life? Turn it up.
It's going to be a rough few years, a rough few months. And sometimes you look at the idea of love being at the center and you say, have you read the news lately? I don't see it. But there's a word in boxing for the type of a boxer who will take a hit if he can give a stronger one in training. Or he knows that there's force and counterforce, and that a person can be led by the force and countered with it. I hate this approach because, quite frankly, it sounds like it hurts. But if I cannot be this immediate tide to beat what is happening in the world, then I can produce a certain countercurrent that when the time comes and the place comes and the people come, we can still do good, we can still be just, we can still carry our brothers and our sisters with us, and we can still work for a better world for everyone. I don't like the overall way the currents are, but I can sit there and do what I can in my little section of the world to make sure that the current doesn't run quite so bad. And that will, I won't say that that's enough right now, but it will have to be enough for right now. We're still in this.
Thank you, Bill.
I just want to say, first of all, thank you very much. I thought it was a really good sermon. I just wanted a couple things. Social and environmental justice needing love is an interesting way to state it. It works the opposite way for me. Is that when I understand love and understand that others might be, that I might not be the center of everything, which was awakening. Social and environmental justice was just sort of the next obvious step for if you're going to live in love. But also I wanted to say something about what you call the affirmation. Is more than just sort of an affirmation. You also talked about the covenant that we have as a faith. We make a covenant as members of this church. And that is part of the covenant, along with following the 7 principles we have up there on the wall. That is the covenant that we make as members of this church, to make love the doctrine and service as our prayer. That is our covenant. That is who we are as members of UUCR. So it's more than just an affirmation. It is our covenant.
Yes. Thank you. And while we're waiting for Walt to come down, Linda, I mentioned earlier about how love is at the center of the Course in Miracles. Would you want to come down after Walt and maybe announce when and where and everything about the Course in Miracles?
I've said it before, I'll say it again. I am a political animal. The reason why I come here is because Universalist Unitarianism is inherently a liberal faith. It's backed civil rights, and the latest civil rights currently is LGBTQ. As long as that rainbow banner is out front declaring this church to be LGBTQ friendly, I will be coming, because I come here to back a political entity, a liberal political entity that stands against the conservatives, especially what's going on now, where Trump and Musk are really, as you know, the governors are going to be hammered next as he cuts off money to each of the governors. So a battle is coming big time. I would urge you to consider and attending demonstrations, because it may actually become necessary if the governor is hit hard here. California is a very powerful blue state, and if California is taken down, destroyed, does the whole nation, since California, if it were a country, would rank 5th in GDP. So Trump and Musk would love to calm, sedate, smash, and conquer this state. Bear that in mind before you decide what I usually do, which is merely kick back and eat a lot of chocolate. But you want to give some thought to this. And as far as what is important, I happen to be an atheist. I don't believe there is a God. And I also happen to, I forget. You can see I could be a BS forever, so I'll cut it off now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Walt. And if you would say your name so we have new people.
I'm known for using a lot of words. I'll try to make it brief. I am always recharged by the messages that individuals present when they're given the opportunity to present information. I grow from information, and I so appreciate the people here. Each one of us has our own journey in life to travel. But when we are given the opportunity to come together and hear the lovely presentation that you gave today, it recharges my batteries and makes me rethink how important it is for us to choose action rather than passively sit by and let our life go away where we did not make some sort of a difference for all. That's sometimes difficult to do, but it's worth thinking about. And when I come here, I feel so much better at the end of the day for the diversity of wonderful ideas that come together with the love concept included in those ideas, that we're all in this together. Together we can choose to make a difference, or we can choose to do nothing and let someone else try to make the difference. But we're all responsible for this moment and how we think about it and how we may make a difference in our life here on earth. That's it. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye. I'm Diane. Bye.
Thank you, Diane.
Morning, Tinka. How are you?
I'm fine.
Good. Nick, how are you? Good. Okay. My name is Linda. I've been a member of this church since about 1996, and I've been a member of the Course of Miracles from about 1997, 98. Basically, the Course of Miracles follows the philosophy that you either come from a place of love or you come from a place of fear, and its intent and purpose is to, first of all, have the possibility of understanding more of what love really is, and having that understanding, being able to apply it to yourself, and being able to love yourself allows you to love others. That's about it. If you have deeper questions, let me know.
And when
I'll be
do you
around.
meet?
What's that?
When do you meet?
We meet Friday mornings at 10:30 at this time, but we're always open to flexibility because those of us who come are not working, and some of you might be or going to school. So if you're interested again, don't worry about the time and place. Just let me know. Thanks.
Thank you, Linda. Also, with the Course of Miracles, like she said, the basis of love, and it is also that we are one. We are not separate beings. We are all one.
How convenient. I also had a comment to say. Thank you, Tinka, for sharing that with us. I really appreciated what you had to say. And I also really liked the meditation, the meta meditation, starting with us and because that's where love has to start, and going outwards from there is as big as we can get. So I really appreciated that. And I wanted to add that when I did my coming of age in a UU church, by the way, one of the things that I talked about at length was love, with the capital L love, in the way that the Christians see it as being the same as God, which I think is very much the kind of thing that you feel
Yes.
attached to, and that resonated very strongly with me. That I felt that when they were speaking about God, they were speaking about this act, and I had come to think of love in a way that's different than most people do, in that we think of it as a noun, as a thing, but I think of love as an action, as a verb. It's something that we do, and it's something that we value instrumentally, in that love is the instrument by which we achieve growth, spiritual growth, by which we achieve inner peace, by which we achieve, in some cases, justice. I think and that's also one of the reasons I value, or I like the way that we structure our values, and that what we value is action, and what we value is the commitment to doing those things in the world.
Thank you, Alec. Bill, you have another brief thing to say?
Before, most of it was emotional. Hang in there, counterpunch, play the long game. I also add something else. The system that is currently forced down our throats is clumsy. It doesn't work. It produces lousy function. It puts money where it doesn't need to be going. So if it can't work because of the power of love, then the power of clumsiness and irritation will carry us back to a better place, and we will fix this noise, we will fix the damage, and we will get on with it, because it's the most practical, pragmatic thing to do.
Thank you. Is there anyone online, Adam, that wanted to share? Nobody, okay. Dick?
I'm Nick, and I want to say, I know that place of not believing in God, and I found that He still believes in me, that I don't have to do anything except be a good person, and God is with me. And I think this is one of the strongest and best sermons I've heard in this church since I've come back. And I think that we need to take seriously this charge we've been given to rewrite our mission statement, to embrace love in the middle of it, and to go out and act that out on a daily basis, because people will say, where does that come from? And you say it's a universalist, Unitarian tenet, that we start with love and we end with love, and it's always love.
Thank you. You have one more thing to add, Walt?
I should have said tolerance is what's actually at the heart. But the actual reason why I got up was to come and, senior moment. Sorry.
Okay. Did you want to add something?
I just wanted to briefly report on the meeting with the members of the Congregational Church across the street on Monday night at 5:30. I enjoyed it a lot. I met about a dozen of their people. Grace was there, Coco was there. And I think you'd enjoy it, you get a lot about it, and everybody shares what their concerns are about where our country's headed. So it would be good for them to hear your ideas as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm grateful that you and Grace were able to go over. I had planned to go, and then my brother became ill and was in ICU, and I wasn't able to attend. So thank you. I'm glad somebody did come. Did you remember it?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
The history of universalism it's the belief that everybody, without exception, goes to heaven, which makes UUA markedly different from so many other beliefs.
Yes, that's true. Yes, that universal salvation is the bedrock of the Universalist faith, which was started in the 1700s, and the belief that there is a loving God, and as a loving God, basically like the Father, and we are the sons and daughters and brothers and sisters, and that as a loving God, no loving father would harm their children and by putting them forever and damn them forever to hell, even when they make mistakes or even when they misbehave. So that was the strong tenet of universalism and made them separate from other Christian churches of the day. So I just wanted to say that they believed we were all one and we were all equal, and that God loves all of us exactly the same. There's no special chosen group from God's point of view. All right, so if there are no further comments, I want to thank you for sharing your thoughts. And as you leave to go into the parish hall for further fellowship, and I hope that you will stay and talk and visit and ask questions if you want to know anything. I'm also the docent of this church, so I know the history of it, and I can give you the history of the denomination as well. But I want you to leave acknowledging and embracing the love that you have, and I hope that throughout the rest of the day that you will take that love and spread it in various different ways, a smile, a gift, something, some way, so that because the love will then grow even greater inside of you. Goodbye. Have a nice time.